Hello, everyone. My name is Svetlana, who doesn't know it yet. I'm collaborating with Dr. Filonov since many years. And from time to time, as I was speaking with Karin last time, I did my interview in December, so it was more than half a year ago. In any case, with those of his patients, of Dr. Filonov, who is available to share their stories, I'm always happy to meet online. And today we have Karin. Karin, hello. I'm super emotional and happy to see you here because I was waiting for this moment since 1 year. Since last August, when you sent me nice pictures of your family with your husband and the pregnancy picture. And oh my God, I'm so happy for her. Today we will speak about Lyme disease and remind me, 5 miscarriages.
Yes.
It's huge. It's something that not everyone would be able to handle emotionally and physically, This is 2 interviews in one, I would say. Let's start from the very beginning. Can you share with us your health journey and the challenges you have faced initially? Let's start from the very beginning. I would start with Lyme disease.
That sounds great. I can't believe to the month it's been 1 year since I told you I was pregnant. So
Yeah.
that's exciting. I'm glad we're doing this now. So, my whole life, I would describe myself as being sensitive. I was just sensitive with the food I ate. If I got sick, it would take me longer to get healthy. I would have to try so extra hard more than my peers and those around me. And I just didn't make sense of it. But it helped me form good habits and just had to be careful my whole life. But I was an athlete. I enjoyed, my life as I knew it. I didn't think anything was extremely wrong. Um, and then as I became an adult, I went on a LDS mission for my religion in Chile. And I was there for 18 months and I started experiencing severe migraines and kind of anxiety, some emotional distress. And again, just kind of fought through it, thought there's lots of change. There was always explanations that I thought I had for what was happening.
How many years ago? I'm doing like this because I don't want we to overlap each other. How many years ago it was?
So this was when I was 21. I'm now 34. So a couple decades, or let's see, how many years is that? Like
Let's see.
over 14 years ago. So, um, yeah, that's when I first started noticing some serious health complications. And when I returned home, we kind of fought through it, returned home, got married, and a couple years into marriage, we decided we wanted to start a family. And I had no other reason to think I would have trouble. I'd always had a regular cycle, no indication there. And I got pregnant the first time we tried. And so we were celebrating, so excited, nervous, scared, all the things. And that didn't last very long when I lost that pregnancy at about 12 weeks. And I didn't pass it until 16 weeks along. And I just did it at home naturally. And that was a pretty rough introduction into motherhood. Like my water broke. I went into labor, I had contractions, and I delivered the baby by myself. And that was pretty traumatic. And just no explanation. We did testing, there was no answers. And so it was just to heal, recover, try again when you felt ready. And so
No answers,
no
no
answers.
causes.
No, no explanation. Everything I looked like I was in tip-top shape. I've always, tried to stay physically active and healthy. Like I said, I had developed really good habits as far as my diet and lifestyle went. And so about a year later is when I felt emotionally ready, physically ready to try again. In between that time, I had a serious head injury, which kind of delayed getting pregnant again, but that I had a big head trauma, which also spurred some weird symptoms that were unexplained, but also kind of just chalked it up to the head trauma. And then I had a second pregnancy and went in early to make sure everything was okay. We saw heartbeat. We were hopeful that everything was going better. And then at an ultrasound at about 11 weeks, we saw that we had lost the baby. And so I didn't want to go through the first experience again because that was very traumatic to pass the baby on my own. And so I decided to do surgery to remove the baby. And I'd never had surgery before, but the baby was too big otherwise. So they call it a DNC. So I went in and they performed the surgery, and that was a very emotional thing to wake up and no longer have a baby, growing inside of me. And so again, I'm very young and naive, and I didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't know who else, everyone seemed to be having children easily. So it just, personally you feel like a failure. What's wrong? What's wrong with your body? What's happening? I don't have any answers. And there was again no explanation. They tested everything, no explanation as to why I'm losing my babies. And I get pregnant the first time we try. So I'm getting pregnant right away. And after that surgery, 3 days later, I became septic and had to rush into the emergency room and have another surgery because I was systemically failing and just again, no explanation why the complications from that surgery. Um, so after I recovered from that again, at that point, I wanted to try again sooner. So about 3 months later, I got pregnant again, first try. And I lost that one again. And
After how long?
I was about 8 weeks on my third one, and that one passed spontaneously, which I was grateful for. I didn't have to go through surgery again because that
But surgery, you mean cesarean?
No, so it's actually called a DNC where they go in and scrape everything out.
Oh, okay.
So cesarean is where they cut you to
Yeah,
deliver the
yeah.
baby. Yeah. So this one they go in vaginally and have to scrape everything out. And that's when I had complications. Yeah, that was a terrible experience. My third one, I lost I just started bleeding and then passed everything at home. So at this point, in the US, they say after 3 losses consecutively is when they start categorizing you as like a high risk pregnancy, something seriously wrong. And again, I still had zero answers, no answers. So I kind of just had to mentally think, go on with my life, focus, redirect on other things. But my health I was still functioning at a normal level, focusing on my career. Luckily had a loving husband to support. It was hard on both of us. And then I got pregnant with my fourth pregnancy. And I was just convinced like it would be the same outcome. Why would I keep this one? And so that was a very stressful, emotional time. And I didn't tell anyone about the pregnancy. I just put my head down and worked and didn't even acknowledge the pregnancy. And pretty soon I hit 20 weeks of being pregnant and I found out it was a boy. And I just couldn't connect emotionally with the baby because I was terrified of losing it because that's all I knew was loss. And, 40 weeks went by and there were some complications as far as that he was breech. We tried to flip him. Things weren't working. I wanted to have him unmedicated because, again, my whole life I've been very sensitive to any kind of medications, or my one experience with surgery did not go well. So I tried to avoid anything like that. But unfortunately, they said the only safe way to deliver him was through cesarean. So they had to cut me to deliver him. But thankfully he made it, and that is my 6-year-old son, Leon. So I had a healthy baby boy. And again, no explanation as to how he made it here safely, and the other ones didn't. And so we just tried to accept it as a miracle and continue on with our life. And um, when he was 10 months old, I got pregnant again. We wanted to allow, another pregnancy.
Yeah,
Got
very strong.
strong or crazy, I don't know. Got pregnant again, and that one ended with another miscarriage. So this was my fifth pregnancy, but my fourth loss. And so again, no explanation. And I thought,
How long? How many weeks?
I think I was about 8 weeks on this one as well. So my first one was 16 weeks when I passed, and then 10 weeks, and then most of them were around 8 weeks along, which feels like a long time when you're pregnant going through that whole first trimester, because I always felt symptomatic. I was very sick. So I always thought, this is real. I'm feeling all the things. And then to lose it was just so confusing, and I didn't understand why. And so
Again, no answers.
no answers once again. And so I just thought, well, I got one here safely and healthily, and he's thriving, never had any health complications. And so the doctors just advised me just to keep trying. And so I did. I got pregnant again, and that one ended in a loss. And as you can imagine, emotionally, it was different experiencing loss after I had one here with me. That gave me hope that it was possible. But again, when you just feel like there's nothing in your power or in your control, to I just didn't know. I didn't know, am I causing something? Is there something I'm doing? Like, please someone give me any kind of indication. Like, there's nothing I wouldn't do. This was everything I've wanted. I've never wanted anything more than to be a mother. And it was just not happening. And the struggle was I would get pregnant every time I tried. And so I would have to be careful to not get pregnant because it was ending in loss, and I had to be prepared for that outcome. And so I did experience another loss until the following consecutive pregnancy, which was my seventh, was my next son, Luca. So he made it. And again, no explanation. That was it. He was born in 2021. And um, post I was able to have a unmedicated VBAC, so a natural vaginal delivery, after a cesarean, which was amazing. That's what I hoped for.
You are full of miracles.
And no medication, but also no explanation. It was still, I don't know why, but here we are. I have these two miracle babies. I am so grateful. I am so happy, and we kind of were able to go focus on other things in our life. My husband's an entrepreneur, so we decided to, when my baby was 6 months old, we moved to Puerto Rico. We both speak Spanish, and we wanted an adventure. He could work from there. So we lived in Puerto Rico for about 4 months, and it was amazing. It was, everything we hoped it would be. And then we moved back home to Utah, where we currently live now. And 2 weeks later, I just completely lost my health out of nowhere. I Do you want me to get into now my
Yeah, I was
illness?
thinking to start, but like things went the other way around.
Hey, you
Yeah,
direct me. Where do you want to
no,
go
no,
from
no.
here?
It's your story. I'm just here to help people learn about it.
Okay.
Just a curiosity. So, no doctors ever thought or suggested you that you might have an autoimmune disease.
Nope. All my blood work, everything came back according to them normal. I was so normal.
And so since you lost your health after 2021,
Yeah.
so it was a COVID time. Did you get COVID?
So it was actually in May of 2022 that I got home, and it was one day to the next. I just started losing consciousness. I would faint, I would go paralyzed, I would have panic attacks. My whole nervous system was just wild. I would lose, my extremities were numb, tingling, painful. And because the symptoms were so dramatic, I'm grateful because it made us really take it seriously and start down the road of trying to find answers. We went immediately to emergency rooms. At this point, I never tested positive for COVID. I never had a positive test result. My husband
And
did.
injections?
No, no, I never did any immunizations. I never have. And so at this point, it was just a big question mark of what happened. I was fine one day, not the next. And that began a 10-month long search with different specialists, doctors, trying to figure out what was going on, ruling out all the life threatening things because I was mimicking so many different diagnoses or things that they couldn't explain. So, from neurologists to cardiologists to you name it. And early on in the game, I think I had just a spiritual intuition of Lyme disease based off my own research and networking, trying to figure out this is the only thing that my symptoms make sense with because every week I was acquiring new symptoms. I would have a week where I went blind in one eye. I would continue to just lose consciousness, the dizziness, that everything was just so dramatic. And as far as my life went, I still had two tiny little babies I was taking care of. And I feel fortunate that at that time is when it happened because I was able to just shut down everything in my life and just stay home with my kids and take care of them and our basic needs, and I just stopped doing everything else. And on my really bad days, my husband could stay home and help support. And then I would just have kind of good days and bad days. And I never knew what to expect. I would wake up and just hope for the best. And so I was just functioning for about a year and a half
Yeah.
at this pace of just survival, honestly, and
Mhm.
doing my best. Um, but I am grateful that the two little boys, I think, kept me functioning and moving. Where I think so often people in my shoes will kind of shut down, lay in bed, and become immobile. But they were keeping me, forcing me. There wasn't a day I didn't wake up and take care of them. And that just kept giving me life when I felt like I had nothing left to give. So when I finally got my Lyme diagnosis, it was a process of elimination. Finally got my late stage neurological Lyme disease diagnosis, whatever you want to call
Late
it.
stage.
Yes, with all the, co-infections, autoimmune disorders, you name it. I was just a hot mess of diagnoses. And I was guided to the best in the world clinic in Washington, D.C. to treat my Lyme disease. And my gut intuition was very scared because, again, my whole life I've stayed away from medications, injections, anything of that sort because I know I don't respond well and that doesn't feel right. But at this point, with how sick I had gotten, again, I'm still acquiring new symptoms with each passing week. I would wake up with what new symptom is waiting for me and with no explanation. And so I was willing to try anything, and I had known several people and connected with several people who'd found success with this pulse therapy antibiotic treatment in Washington, D.C. That's on the East Coast in the United States. And we decided to go for it. So my husband and I took a trip out to Washington, D.C. They assessed me. They also, diagnosed me as well, with Lyme disease and all the co-infections to confirm I was in the right place. And they wanted to do IV therapy. So they wanted to put a port in my chest and infuse antibiotics into me. The only thing that kept me from doing that was I couldn't hold my baby, who was still 9 months old, little baby at the time, and I wasn't willing to do that. And I'm so grateful in hindsight that that saved me from the severe complications that could have come from that IV port. And I only started treatment with oral antibiotics at this time. And I think you told me long ago my body is so smart, and I agree with you because it rejected everything immediately. I started taking their oral, they said they need to stabilize me because all my symptoms were so crazy. I wasn't sleeping. Insomnia was probably my worst. I think I went a record of 7 days without sleep, and I just desperately needed sleep. And so they had me on these medications, and my mind just shut down. My body rejected it. I had allergic reactions to things. So they would stop me immediately on all these hard medications and then try other ones. And I was just a mess. For 6 months, I got way worse than when I had previously came to them. And so I was in really bad shape. This was the summer of 2023. And in my heart, I knew that um, I'm not going to survive this treatment. This will kill me. And you have to grapple with the idea that maybe, a weird acceptance that that is the outcome because you become so sick and so desperate, and it's just exhausting. And I was at that place and did not know where to go from there. I think my family was still hopeful that my body was going to start accepting that treatment, but in my heart, I had already said I'm done. I was taking a break. And that summer, I was trying to figure out what my next step of treatment was. And my family is very religious, spiritual. And my sister suggested that my siblings do a spiritual fast for me. And I thought, okay, I would love to accept your spiritual offering on my behalf. And I felt inclined to join them because, my sweet siblings are sacrificing, in the middle of their busy lives to fast for me on my behalf. And so I joined them. And I was very weak. I hadn't fasted in a very long time because my
It
health.
was water fast.
No, it was a full fast. So, um, no water, but we still would get our hands wet. So not a full dry fast, not a sincere dry fast, but I did not drink water or eat food for 24 hours. And so I joined them. And the next day, my husband was like, "You're having a really good day." And my good and bad days, there was no sensical thing in my mind. I didn't know what gave me a good day, what gave me a bad day. Everything was just confusing and so cloudy. But after that fast, I had a really good day. My functions were higher. And so I thought, how interesting. Maybe that was just a spiritual blessing. I don't know. And that same week, I had a feeling to download a app on my phone, Marco Polo, and I was laying in my infrared sauna because all day, every day, I would do all sorts of treatments just to maintain a very low quality of life. So I was just hooked to these machines and these systems to try to keep surviving and keep living. So that same week after my fast with my family, I downloaded this app and I see a message from weeks prior from a sister of a friend. And I listen to it, and she starts to tell me that she has been diagnosed with Lyme disease, and she's reading this book by Michelle Slater. And she doesn't know if I'd be interested because she heard I was going to DC, so she thought maybe that's not something I'd be interested in. And she starts telling me about this fasting and trying to not scare me away, but just share what she was up to. My forever angel
I
friend,
know her.
her name is Jessica. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, you know her well. Um, and it was just such a miracle in my life because I immediately downloaded that book and I listened to it. And I think I could have written, those words myself. The way Michelle wrote that book was everything so personally what I was experiencing. And I just knew in my heart, this is it. And it all happened in such a divine, timely manner that I was ready and willing to just dive all in. That very week, I did a 36-hour dry fast. I just went in, I'm going to do this, I'm going to try this. I have nothing to lose. And so every week, I started implementing a 36-hour dry fast of the best I understood. I would re-listen to Michelle's book over and over again just to get mentally well, doing the best that I could. I was so fortunate to watch Jessica's example because she was going to the retreat in October, and I got to, and this was in August of 2023 when I started fasting. So I got to watch her and her progress. And she was so generous to share her experiences with me. And it just built my confidence that she can do this, I can do this. And I just started fasting and trying to juggle life at home. I would put gloves on my hands, I would make food for my little kids, I would do laundry and just do it. Like, I was just like, being a sick mom is hard, but you know, I choose the fasting hard because it's just, I had so much hope in this healing process. And with each fast, I would notice, like, because I was in a cycle of acquiring new symptoms all the time. And with each fast, I would lose symptoms and I would like gain the ability to sleep. And so I was so motivated by, the little, I was going in the right direction finally. And I think I finally got in contact with you and Dr. Filanoff in December of 2023 in order to get clearance to do the next retreat in March in Montenegro. So I was just getting through the holiday season, trying to make the most with, the time I had with my family, not knowing if I'd make it back from Montenegro. I didn't know what to expect. I was,
Like someone called it Vietnam War, you know?
yeah, well,
You never
sometimes it
know if
feels
you're
that
coming.
way. And, people in your life, I chose to be very private about it. I think I'm naturally a private person because that takes away from the energy, and I had very little energy to give. And so I didn't share a whole lot. I had already shut down everything in my life just to take care of my family and get through those sick years. Um, and so you guys advise, yes, go ahead.
Coming back a little bit
Yeah.
to your story, did you ever notice any tick that have bitten you?
Yes. So when I was 10 years old,
Okay.
I was bit by a tick and we removed it the best way the internet told us how to at that time. So I knew of a tick bite. And in hindsight, once I got the diagnosis and expanded my understanding, I believe it's been a chronic condition inside of me since I was 10 years old. Um, if not, I have a lot of beliefs about, the COVID and the flares of all the autoimmune. And it was just a whole umbrella of diagnoses, so it's hard to get attached to one, but I do know that, back to all my sensitivities and my migraines and how hard I had to try to live a healthy life, I think kept me as healthy as I was, for as long as I was. But then I think the traumas of the head injury and the miscarriages just broke me down.
It was like silent Lyme that you were experiencing without even thinking to diagnose yourself, make tests. It was out of your imagination. What I noticed after 2021, 22, and 23, a lot of people, like COVID, triggered what was sleeping inside the body. I just make my statistics about that, and it's triggered everything. Like whatever you didn't know to have, you just it was exposed with COVID very clearly.
Yes. Which I think is a hard and devastating thing to lose your health, but at the same time, like truth, like knowledge is power. And the knowledge of what I was dealing with and what was exposed, however it was exposed, to have the knowledge of why I was losing these babies and these pregnancies and suffering so much, that led me to a path of true and sincere healing at the core through fasting. And what I was implementing and seeing firsthand with each fast that I did, I saw just like layers and layers of healing. And it was so motivating because I knew in my heart, like, I'm going to be healthier at the end of this, before, like, more than I ever was before, because I didn't understand I was sick. I was silently sick, and I was just accepting and dealing with what I had. And this whole process taught me, like, you taking back that control and realizing with each practice, because it's practice, it's hard. As I was preparing for Montenegro, you guys advised me on, how to do the 21-day liver cleanse, how to prepare according to my history, my experience. So I felt supported because you guys knew everything about me and guided me on how to, in the timeline, be prepared for March of 2024.
Did you feel any benefits? Did you feel better during the preparation? Did you feel the difference?
So after my 3-day dry fast, that's kind of the real big test at the end of the 21-day cleanse. My sleep was really good. And that was a miracle. My husband was just like, "Oh my gosh, you're sleeping without anything, without any assistance, without any herbs, without any supplementation, you're sleeping." And that was the moment we were both just, this is going to work. Like, this is going to happen. You are going to heal. Like, keep going. And so then from there, I did a 5-day dry fast. And I will say the 5-day dry fast was a very profound experience for me emotionally and spiritually. I felt that my best explanation was that I had to, like, physically kind of leave this world in a sense during that fast. You kind of break through. There's all this resistance, there's all this, kind of negative opposition. And then when you break free of it, it was the most liberating thing that I've ever experienced, that you're just free. Like, I felt like I was flying, and I had been hostage to this body that wasn't working, that would lose consciousness, that, a loud sound or a bright noise would just like lay me flat. So here I was feeling so strong, so free. 5 days, no food, no water, following all the rules of dry fasting, walking, and I felt stronger and invincible than I ever had, more invincible than I ever had. And the weird thing was, after that, when I came out of that fast, there were some really intense emotional and spiritual, mental things that I had to face. So I was fighting the physical side of things, but then there's another component of the emotional side that was really hard. It was almost this weird, I don't know how to live in this world anymore. Like, the fasting kind of takes you out of it, and then you have to come back to it and keep existing. And here I was doing everything I could to be alive, to raise my children, but yet feeling almost like I don't know that I belong here anymore. It was this huge detachment of like, of course I love being your mom. I love being me, but I'm evolving, I'm changing. This is scary. I don't understand. I think my husband at that.
Strong practice.
Yes. I think my husband even said, "I feel like you're leaving us behind in this moment." And he's been amazing and supportive, but it was kind of scary. I kind of felt like if I continue down this path, like, is it gonna pull us apart? Like, I may have my physical healing, but am I gonna be who I was? And so it was kind of scary to experience such big emotions. And so I was kind of in that space for 3 weeks leading up to the Montenegro retreat of March 2024. So
Yeah.
I was quite nervous, not that I could physically endure it, but what was waiting for me at home on the other side as far as my emotions and mental state of, can I go 9 days and whatever that looks like, 'cause I had never done it, obviously, and be able to come back and keep living in this world, in my responsibilities, and all that is waiting for me.
Being still a mom and lovely wife,
Yeah,
a loving
yeah.
wife.
Is that possible?
Is that still
And
possible? I was curious about walking.
yes,
Some people think that walking reduce your energy without understanding the real dynamic behind that, that actually mitochondria, like they grow and they replicate themselves thanks also to a movement. So it's a science behind it that not everyone can realize and understand. Did you lose the energy while walking, or you were feeling on the contrary, the gaining the energy by the end?
for me, it was on the contrary that I felt so good when I was walking and fasting. I had so much ability to get the 7 miles in, the 10 kilometers in, and I felt more mental clarity while fasting than while I was out of fasting and eating food and water. I actually craved the feeling and the strength that I felt in a fast. I would obviously have some crises and moments of like, ouch, that hurts. It's hard, but I definitely felt the momentum of the walking, working, and driving the benefit of the fast even deeper. So I did feel very energized by the movement and the walking while fasting. So,
Yeah, because people think, some people who do not understand, they think that laying in the bed or staying without physical activity gives you energy. It's on the contrary. Energy is being generated by moving. We are not speaking about very like quick move or physical activities, strong ones. We're speaking about very slow, but in any case, it's kind of giving possibility to generate the energy. And only by generating energy, you are getting it. You cannot get the energy laying in the bed.
no.
It's the opposite by science, even it's the opposite. So people really do not value the knowledge very
Mm,
good.
yeah.
What I wanted also to ask you, because yes, I understand that there are some people who cannot walk, they're really very bad. Sometimes when I was fasting, it happened to me to be so weak, like day 6 and 7, I was crawling, I was not walking. So of course, in that cases, you do not have energy even to stand up, and it's totally normal to lay. But whenever it's possible, it's good to move, to recreate the energy. What I wanted also to ask, because I was following this topic, it's very sensitive topic. It's very sacred topic of bringing children to this world. It's not, it doesn't belong to us. We are only, it's through us. In any case, delicate moment. Doctors, when they were seeing you having these miscarriages, what they were suggesting, besides to wait, besides to keep trying, there were any suggestions from their side what could help you to go to bring to term your pregnancy?
No, honestly, there was no support because I was able to get pregnant on my own so easily. All their focus and energy was helping those who couldn't get pregnant through in vitro IVF. So
Mhm.
that was a familiar struggle around me. But the fact that I was getting pregnant so easily, it kind of just felt like, well, keep doing it and hopefully one of them sticks.
And no one ever asked or made a conclusion that you might have an autoimmune disease?
No, the only thing discussed was to do like baby aspirin, so to thin out my blood so that there
Exactly. This is
wasn't
their
any
standard
clotting.
protocol.
And so I did not feel good about that. I sought out an alternative method called nattokinase. It's just a Japanese herb, but it functions in a similar way to prevent the clotting of blood. So I was on that during my pregnancies, but my two boys made it, and I hope maybe that helps support myself, but I also still experienced losses while taking that. So I don't know that that fixed anything, but I think it helped. But
Yeah, because with autoimmune disease, I know that the standard protocol, what happens if we're speaking in the simple words, that uh, when a body with autoimmune disease inside sees the pregnancy, it sees as a foreign and it starts attacking it. And as you said, that blood clots are blocking the vessels that feed the pregnancy. So the standard protocol actually is to thin the blood, but still the person remains with the autoimmune disease getting pregnant. So I don't know if this is the best solution because mother, as we all know, is transmitting to children health, genetics. So it's much better to heal yourself and get pregnant rather than get pregnant being ill in any
absolutely.
case. Of course, life happens and it's fine in whatever way. Everyone has its own experience to go through this in this life. But that's why I was asking if they consider to thin their blood because this is one of the standard protocols with autoimmune disease.
Yeah, so they did offer that, and I chose my alternative solution to try to do that, and I think it did help. I had and they would test my hormones and everything, like I said, everything was so normal, in their abilities to test me, and so I had no knowledge that I was sick, during any of those losses or the birth of my 2 boys. I had no idea. And so to become so sick, I was still nursing my baby, my Luca, when I found out I had Lyme disease. And that's when they said, stop nursing because I'm transmitting illness, which was devastating. It was heartbreaking because I had been sacrificing so much, not only to get them here, but to continue to breastfeed when I was so sick and so depleted myself with no explanation, just navigating seemingly on our own. And I'm so grateful. My husband's a very well educated and loves to research and understand, and he sees the world in a similar way as far as more holistic approach and very supportive. And so I felt that was very helpful where he would find alternative methods. He first started putting me on herbs to see if it would cause a Herx reaction with the Lyme disease, and it sure did. And it would keep making me sicker, that Herx reaction. And then I went to Washington, D.C., where I got way too sick beyond repair. And so, again, not knowing how sick I was while trying so hard to bring these children, to life, it haunts me, and that's my motivation of wanting to talk about the ability and opportunity to cleanse yourself before getting pregnant, because had I known, there's nothing I wouldn't have done. That suffering of going through miscarriage after loss was so traumatic and so horrendous on every level. If I could help anyone avoid that outcome. But the most important thing is to give your child the best, most clean chance in this world. We all know the world is filled with toxins and, scary things, but this method of life and practice gives me such confidence and empowerment to know I'm in control. I know how to navigate this. I think I spent the majority of my time in Montenegro asking Dr. Filinoff, like, how do I help my kids? They're healthy and thriving right now, but how do I help them? Because I know that they came through me when I was not well and I did not know. So I want to be prepared to help them navigate if that ever, is their experience in this world. And so that was one of my huge motivations in Montenegro, is not only for my own health, but for my children's health that may be following in my footsteps, because the world is only getting more polluted, more toxic, more confused. And we're being told, very scary lies. And so,
Did you stop breastfeeding when you learned about your Lyme?
yeah, I stopped immediately that
How
day.
many months you breastfeeded up to then?
He was, I believe, like 10 or 11 months.
Because
And so,
why we always ask, suggest to cleanse before? Because children through milk, besides through body, also through milk, are taking everything out of the woman's also breast. That's why less cases of breast cancer have women, less cases have women who breastfeeded, because all these toxins, all these not good things, children are taking out of mother. This is the thing. So that's why cleansing yourself prior, it's so important, because the life and the health of your children, that is up to you. Whenever you will give birth, it will be up to you as well to follow them. What's their health situation right now of your boys?
they're both very healthy, very active,
Fortunately.
all, on a mental, physical level, thriving. And I work really hard to create a peaceful, healthy environment with, everything that they intake. Um, but it's definitely always in the back of my mind, like watching, waiting if there's anything, trying to implement the practice of what I know of fasting, even as little as they are. They're 6, almost 7, and 4. And so just we talk about it and educate, and they're excited. They learn, they know that's what mom went and did. They saw me. I asked them just today in preparation for this discussion, if they remember mommy being sick. And my 4-year-old was like, no, like, you were sick. And my 6-year-old was like, yeah. He used to call it my Lyme dizzy because it used to make me dizzy. So he would always pray that mommy's Lyme dizzy would go away. And they watched me, and I had to leave them to attend the retreat, which was a huge sacrifice because I had never left them before. And they were still very little at the time. And that's why I felt like I had a superpower having these young children, because with the other attendees, I think I was the only one in that position with small children waiting for me at home. And I felt like superwoman because there was nothing that could get in my way. There's, the temptation of, falling and messing up with what was in my control. It was laughable. It's like, no, why? That's not going to happen.
Your husband fasted ever? Did he try this practice?
He did. When I
Uh-huh.
came home, so that's a funny story because I went through the Montenegro experience and was so motivated to come home and complete another 9-day fast, which was what I understood was a normal, trajectory for someone in my condition. And I was told otherwise to go home and get pregnant, which felt very scary. I think you remember when you translated that to me. I said, "Come again?" Like, what? Had just completed the fast, was still coming out of the
This is was
cave.
this was your exit protocol.
Yeah.
Personalized exit protocol. Please get home and get pregnant.
Yeah, I think I asked you, "Okay, when?" And you're like, as soon as you get off the airplane, whatever, go for it." And so that was really scary to accept because I didn't know I seemed to do really well in the fast, but up to that point in my practice, the exit was my struggle. I struggled with the remineralizing, and the coming back to food and water was hard for me. And like I said, I was still new to this practice. First time I did a 9-day fast, I was excited to see how my exit went and try again to get better, keep
So
practicing.
you made more than one time 9 days. You did twice 9 days.
So that's where the funny story comes into play, that I came home and I had talked about it with my husband. Are we going to try to get pregnant right now? Because that was another motivation. I wanted more children. So not only are my current children motivating me, the hope of future children are also motivating me to get through this, get healthy. So we talk about it. We're shocked. We're not expecting that. And we decide, yeah, let's go for it. We're going to try to get pregnant and trust that, you guys supervised me. Dr. Filanoff observed me, and this was his suggestion to go home and get pregnant. I was cleaner than I'd ever been. I was looking well and doing well. And so we get home, and I actually thought I got pregnant right away, to find out that I didn't have a cycle for the first time in my life. I had lost that cycle, which makes sense due to the fasting and, I think a normal thing. But at the time, it was a real struggle because exit was still challenging for me. I would get really swollen even when I was so strict on everything I was doing, following what I felt was like the letter of the law, but still struggling. Thought I was pregnant, and that's obviously an emotional pass for me. To get pregnant is very triggering and scary, and not knowing what a pregnancy post fasting looks like. And so then I realized I didn't have a period, and I was discouraged because I was like, who do I call and talk to? Hey, like, after you had Lyme disease and 6 miscarriages and fasted for 9 days and trying to get pregnant, like, what'd you do? And so I'm like, I don't know who to talk to. And I think your counsel was give it like couple months, and if you don't get pregnant, go into another like 5 to 7 day fast. So that was kind of scary to be like, okay, like come out of fasting. And I was a little nervous not to get the second cleanse of another fast. Like I like fasting at this point. I was like, but why don't I just hurry and get that one out of the way and then get pregnant? But he said, no, go home and get pregnant, which I'm really glad I did, because I think that was the perfect timeline for my body, because fasting breaks you down and it takes time to rebuild. And so I think had I done another second fast, it would have taken that much longer to rebuild, get my period back, and be able to get pregnant. And so that summer, June, July, I didn't get pregnant, and I was working to get my cycle back, just doing all the exit protocol and feeling myself get really strong and all the benefits. It was exciting. Like I struggled for the 2 months, but then I started getting really strong, feeling really good, and seeing all the results of all my hard work and all the cleansing, manifest and show that I was healing.
For how many months did it take for you to recover from 9-day dry fast?
Recover my period or recover?
Full recovery.
I struggled for 2.5 months. It was hard for me. And in hindsight, I'm excited to continue my lifelong practice because there's things I know I can improve on helping support myself. But I really did struggle. I didn't eat salt or anything. I just avoided anything for 2 months because I would just
It
swell
was
up.
too much, but it's fine. It's because of the
Yeah.
fear.
Yes, and so I would swell and just have that complication all the time, the edema. And even if I wasn't doing any wrong things, and I would talk to other people who were at my same retreat, and they're all back to like a very typical diet, and I'm still like not eating or doing anything
We are
normal.
all different. I
Yeah,
fasted already 3 times. I did long fast, and I can say that each exit is different. Each
really.
fast is different. I cannot say that it's all the same. Absolutely. Even for me, it's each time different. Each time I'm
Yeah,
observing myself and saying, wow, this time is this way. So you
yeah,
cannot expect the same thing. It's a very individual because of many things. Life is happening. So we are
yeah,
different each time. What's the funny
absolutely.
story with your husband with another fast?
So I was frustrated because I wanted to go into another fast. I was having struggle coming out of it, having edema, and I just wanted to go into another fast. But he was like, "No, like let's keep trying to get pregnant, like the doctor said." And so to deal with my disappointment and frustration, I helped guide him through the 21-day program. So he did the 21-day cleanse, which includes a 3-day water fast and ends with a 3-day dry fast. And so he did it really well and in support of me, but also we were trying to conceive. So I was like, it's only going to help.
It's a partnership.
Exactly. So I'm like, "Hey, come on, Betty, you can do it too." And it was really healing for me to help support him and for him to have that kind of empathy and understanding. He's a very healthy individual, so I think a healthy individual going into it's a little different than someone who's sick, but he did great and he loved it. He'll want to
It
do it
was
again.
his first time fasting, and he immediately did 3 days dry fast after the cleanse.
So he's done spiritual fasting like I have, which is no more than like a day and not a sincere day. So we're not completely inexperienced, which I'm grateful for, but for sure was his first time ever and he did it. He did everything that is required of the 21-day cleanse. And I definitely helped prepare everything for him. So where I was preparing it
Experienced one.
myself. Yeah. But he did the full thing, so he did great. Yeah.
And
Um,
after how long time did you understand that something is in there?
yes, so um we decided if I did not get pregnant by the end of the summer, I would do my other fast. And I got pregnant the last month before I was going to go back to fasting, which was July of 2024. And so I sent you it was still scary, wondering, like, waiting to hear the heartbeat for the first time. That's usually such a emotional experience to go in because I've been disappointed so many times and even though I had healed so much physically, mentally, and emotionally through this fasting experience, because you can't not, it's all intertwined. So I had healed so much, but yet still, it's still hard. I'm still human to have to realize I want this more than anything, and I know I'm clean and healthier than ever before, but I'm still scared to be pregnant and go through the very long 9 months required to grow a human. And so it was very exciting to get that first ultrasound and to let you guys know, like, look, like it's happening, but yet still very cautiously optimistic and hopeful every day of that entire process. And but that to be able to compare a pregnancy post fasting to my pregnancies before when I was silently sick but appeared perfectly healthy on the outside, it was completely different. I wasn't sick for a single day of this pregnancy. I was so healthy, so energetic. My body communicates very loud and clear to me ever since I began fasting. So I know if, the air quality is bad. My body tells me. I know if I eat something that has, you know, some triggering things. It tells me right away, which I'm grateful for. Those connections I think are needed for me to live and navigate the rest of my life. So I think it's a blessing. Um, but as far as any pregnancy sickness, I didn't have any of that. And if you looked at pictures of me in my other pregnancies, I had melasma and skin discoloration all over my face. That just showed my liver was so overwhelmed, so problematic. And this time, like nothing. I had no discoloration. And so I just cling to those manifestations of like, it's working, you're healthy. And to see just how everything went so smoothly, my delivery and my experience was so empowering. Like, I'm a different human, but I would never want to go back to who I was before. So I still love my husband. I still love my children. I didn't want to run away
There are
and
no
be
side effects of dry fasting. Yeah.
and
And
so
especially women who have given birth previously, they have organ displacement. And what we do on the retreats, we work with organs as well. What do you think about treatments? Do you think that they make a difference while fasting? Do you think that they are similar at any therapist next door? What can you say about what we do? Because when people ask, I just say old Slavic practices, but it's a accumulation of different knowledge. How can you describe it?
I've been trying to describe it for the last year and a half, and I don't have the words to describe it. And so I would send videos to my family at home, and I was just obsessed. I could feel it inside of me shifting, empowering, pushing along all the work I was doing. And that meant everything to me because sometimes fasting can feel like a heavy burden, like it's all on me. No one can do this for me, which is, great, but also to have someone like those therapists at the retreat there to support you, like that felt so supportive on every level, like emotionally, like these people are here helping me, physically touching me, like moving things, getting things going. I could see rashes breaking out and, manifestations of things working, and they would answer my questions and things like it felt like such a great support that I don't ever want to fast without it. I don't know how to replicate it from home.
Yeah, but is it a simple massage that you can
No.
have
I don't know
from
how to
next
explain
door?
it. No, it's crazy from all the hair pulling to the cupping to, I've had cupping here. It's not like the cupping I experienced in my fasting. And so, like I said, I'm anxious. I'm currently my baby was born healthy in April, my baby girl. And so,
Can I say that it is so special
yeah.
connection to me? You know that, but for me,
Yeah.
it's really I remained without words. Besides, that she was born next to my birthday, so I know her character as if I already know her. And when you told me her name, for me, it was like universe was speaking with me. Sometimes you are just receiving signs from unexpected sources because you named it by the name of my grandmother. And like we are living in different cultures, the names are completely different. And when I'm hearing the name of my grandmother that you named your baby girl after dry fasting, for me it was like, wow, like no words. Like, how come we never discussed? You never knew. It was something that you were keeping in mind. You just wanted it.
Yeah. Yeah, she was there with me, I have no doubt, in spirit, helping me get through that dry fast that would allow the opportunity for her to come and have, like, I just know her, she's healthy, she's clean, she's perfect, and has the best chance at thriving in this world. And Dr. Filinoff even told me, like, you're gonna have a girl. Like, it was just so fun to feel all these things I felt inside my heart, but to have people around me, supporting me, motivating me, and also validating, even on a spiritual level outside of the physical work that we were doing there. So, yeah, it's such a special connection to me as well. Um with, all the funny things that aligned and came to fruition. Like, here we are a year
Yeah.
later with the perfect baby girl, and I I was nervous with the postpartum experience. I don't know what to expect, and it's been great. I definitely, like I said, still feel my body talks to me loud and clear on, what it likes and what it doesn't like. I feel anxious to fast again, but like, we discussed, I'm still breastfeeding and want to as long as I possibly can. So I don't know what that looks like for me. I'm taking it one day at a time, implementing the knowledge that I do have and working towards that day that I continue practicing the dry fasting like I did previously. So,
In your case, since you are clean and you are not transmitting anything to your child, you can do once a week water fast easily. So no worries with that. Is it for you, like, as I already understand the answer, but anyway, a life practice or one-term practice to get yourself healthier?
oh, I think that's the funniest question. Anyone who's come into this I mean lifestyle, you already know my answer.
Yeah.
It's like someone just gave me the power of, like, being able to thrive and have joy mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually at the highest level throughout the rest of my life. And it's all within my power. Like, and I don't have to rely on a doctor or a prescription or any other source to give me that. I get to do it. And how do I
It's
do
like
that?
a tool.
Yes, it's
But
my tool.
some people, why I'm asking very obvious questions, I even didn't have to. Some people are coming asking if one long fast will help or how many will help. But this is a tool, it's a journey, and you never know. You never know what's next, or like around the corner when the next pandemic is gonna happen. It's a tool. It's not
Yeah.
one time, it's a tool for life. And I'm happy when people not exaggerating, also not becoming fanatic, because it also can damage, but are using the tool in the right way in the right moments. So for you, definitely it's not one time treatment, it's just a lifestyle. And your milk, considering other pregnancies, do you see the difference after dry fast? Comparing, I have no idea, we didn't discuss.
Hmm.
I'm just
That's
curious, is it different from other pregnancies?
I don't know that I notice a difference in my supply or the appearance of it. I just know that my baby is happy and thriving, and there things that I experienced with my other newborns, she's doing much better. And so
Is
for
she
me, that's
calm? Is she
evident.
sleeping well?
Yeah, she's sleeping well. She's so happy. She just never stops smiling. And that's just like, okay, she's just this perfect little baby. And I'm convinced she's just healthy. Like, the appearance and the feeling and like everything just feels so clean and healthy, which was just my dream. When I was feeling so sick, I felt the opposite. I felt dirty. I felt just like burdened with toxins and chemicals and overflowing, which is this chaos I didn't know what to do with. And so to be on the other side of it and to witness just the cleanliness of life and health and just feeling so grateful for that tool to know that I'm never going to go back. And I think my favorite thing Dr. Filanoff says is live your life and then go fast, which is fantastic because you don't feel like, oh, I can't go do things. I can't experience, I have to live, caged. It's like, no, I'm going to go live my life, make my best choices, sometimes indulge in things knowing there's going to be a consequence, but that's okay. I'm going to choose it anyway. And knowing I can fast and I can cleanse and I can reset. And it's a fun, exciting thing, not like a punishment. And I think that's a shift that has to happen for everyone on their own. Because in the beginning, it's like, oh, I like can't believe I have to do this. Like a young 30-year-old mom has to go do this when everyone else is doing whatever else they're doing in their 30s. But now I'm like, how lucky am I that I know about this now and I get to implement it for the rest of my life and hopefully share with whoever will listen because that is my motivation. I want to help anyone. And I know so many people struggling with infertility, struggling, and they're choosing the methods that are presented to them out of fear, out of not knowing where else to turn. And I'm just convinced that trying to override a system that's not working is never the answer. Trying to bypass your reproductive system and control it and dump more hormones and chemicals into your body to bring a baby here is going to have lifelong consequences for the women and that baby. And I have friends and loved ones who are doing that over and over and over again. I don't even think we know or understand the repercussions of that. And it breaks my heart because I know there's a higher way. And I don't want to degrade the miracles that they receive in their own way, but I know that comes at a cost. And I want to at least provide an option because had I known what I know now, I would have, of course, implemented this before every pregnancy. 9 days is nothing in the consideration of your child's life and your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And so it's not a heavy price if you know and understand, you know.
I really want at one point people, I don't know if it will ever happen in my life, people to come to fast in order to prevent, in order to maintain. I'm doing it. Yes, last year I had some issues that were resolved with fasting. I'm super grateful. And because of that, also like this year, it's not that why I have to do it. When people are asking why you're doing that, like I'm grateful that I can do it. I'm so grateful that there is this opportunity, this tool that prevent, that already keeps me cleaner because I'm traveling, I'm trying to eat clean, but you never know. You never know what's in the air, what's in the water, what kind of food we eat. We never know. So dealing with people, sometimes and often very ill people, when you have the opportunity to maintain yourself healthy, I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I'm spending same amount of time, same amount of money, same amount of energy on maintaining myself as one ill person. Same. I'm spending a lot of my time, money, and energy, a lot. But there is another quality of life. It's like choose your heart. Same thing, choose your heart. And still about Lyme, I didn't understand. You just don't feel anything, or you test it yourself and you do not have it?
So I have not tested myself in my postpartum state. Maybe I could. Part of me feels like I don't care. I'm not interested, but if it helps, to have that on paper to show and indicate, I know that I'm clean and I'm healthy. I still have a desire to continue cleansing through fasting. So that's kind of where I'm at, where I don't feel that I have Lyme to cleanse, because I do believe, like Dr. Filanoff explained to me, that a pregnancy after fasting is just as healing for my body, as even more so than another fast. And I believe that.
After fasting, not just pregnancy, because even pregnancy itself help women to become healthy because
Yeah.
everything is going to the baby, but it's not a very constructive way of eliminating disease.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I would explain postpartum being very similar to post fasting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, not exactly, but
Yeah.
yes.
I think it's similar. There's similarities. And
One
like
have
you
to
said,
experience both to be sure to say, yes, I understand that, you know.
so I feel like not exactly, and everyone, like you said, each post fast, each exit can feel different for the same person. And I'm limited in my practice and experience thus far. I look forward to more experiences whenever that time comes for me. So I feel like in my postpartum, there are things that I hope to resolve through future fasting, but I feel very healthy. I feel very capable. I can do whatever I want to do.
No
I'm taking
symptoms anyway of Lyme disease.
Um, no, I don't have those symptoms, but in an interesting way, I feel like my body communicates to me through old patterns. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
if I eat something that I know is a trigger, I will sometimes get what's called like brain fog or fire brain. And that's an indicator to me, like, we don't like that.
Mhm.
But I used to have nonstop symptoms of that in my Lyme disease. And so that's been interesting for me to try to navigate and work through and not give it fear to say, "Oh, I'm sick again." I think my connections are so strong between my mind and my spirit and my body that it's communication. I worked so hard to connect because the way we live our lives and are told to take medications to sever that communication, like we're just walking around unconsciously because we don't know what's up and down, left and right. We're so confused. So
Yeah.
I feel like my body's communicating so clearly, and that's what it looks like for me. But I'm still definitely wanting to understand that more as I continue my practice and see if that's something that changes or if that's the way my body just
It
communicates.
can be a phantom experience,
Yeah.
something that you get used to, and your mind has to rewrite new patterns. Yeah. But let me
What
know.
about you? Have you experienced that in post fasting, that you'll have symptoms in the form of the way your body communicates to you?
I did not have diseases to
Mhm.
heal, like severe diseases. We are never super healthy. There is always something inside at the
Mhm.
different stages. But I can say that neuron connections, neuron paths in our mind, I'm following, I'm observing what's happening. And after each fast, I'm losing only those who are recently were built up. So I'm working on my body,
Mhm.
doing some yoga asanas, and some of them, if they were recently built up in my practice, I'm losing them because it's a new neuron connection in my head. But old ones are very stable. So I understand through this that to rebuild new, even though it had already been just few weeks or few months before the fast, you are losing them and you have to rebuild them again. Fasting takes away something that you have created recently in your brain and keeps alive something that was like deep alive, something that was for a long time. So mentally, we have to work a lot with our mindset, a lot, because our mind gets used to bring us to something it knows how it was. It knows even if it was your comfort zone to be ill, it can bring you to that comfort zone because it knows that zone and doesn't know the new one. So it's also about mindset to rebuild a new pattern, new patterns. It's a huge work. And you cannot work only on the retreat with that. It time requires time and consistency, working with your mindset. During retreat, actually, it's not something very helpful because during the retreat, you need to be introspective. You have to be aware of what's going on and to look inside it. Finally, you find the time to look inside. Usually, there are a lot of sounds from outside in our world. There are a lot of whispers, suggestions, communication. And with fasting, it's a finally time not to listen to anyone, just to listen to yourself. And then when you break your fast within next months, it's good to bring what you have found in there, what triggered you, what you discovered to different specialists, to psychologists, but within the time. It never 1, 2, 3 times session. It's something that you will have to work on after, I cannot say only after fasting, it's during your life. You have to work on it because you have to realize that patterns has to be changed if you want to change your life. But it's what I do on dry fasting. I always close myself like from outside world. I try not to speak. I try not to be connected to anyone. It's time only for myself. And I really appreciate it. As much as I can, I stop watching my telephone, answering questions or whatever, or using chats. It's the time for yourself. And then working on your mindset, it takes also months, for some people years, but it's a huge work on mindset. When people expect changes after the retreat without changing their lifestyle, changing their mindset, changing their patterns, everything will come back as it was if you do not change. This is the thing. Fasting helps at all. It helps in many subjects, in many spheres. But you have to be attentive also to use it, not to rely on it on 100%, but to use it. It's a tool. It's always a tool. It's not a miracle. It's part of your job on yourself, as I see it. You cannot expect like 7-9 days and then your life completely changed. It changed if you will start changing. If you are angry with people, if you are always underrating, devaluating, it's you have this negativity, this negative mindset always will bring you back to where you were before. Somehow it happens, it works this way. That's why we need always to change. And it's your job. Fortunately, it's our task for life to change ourselves and to become the better version of ourselves each day. Really, I'm super grateful. Do you think we missed something? And I'm waiting from you Lyme results whenever you will have the possibility to have them. I'm also curious, and I know that you will go on with fasting. What advice would you give to women facing infertility or who have experienced miscarriages from your perspective right now, where you are right now?
I would tell them that there are more options and that there's more in your control than you realize. I think you can feel so victim to your circumstances, to thinking it just is what it is, and I'm going to put my life and my hands in to the specialists and the doctors who are seeing results from the methods they're practicing. But just to look inwards and to feel if that feels right and really understand and research the consequence that it could have lifelong on their own health as the mother receiving that treatment and for the health of the baby. And to just really understand what it means to override their systems. If it's not working, ask more questions. Why? Why is it not working? And I know that can be different for everyone. And whether it's with, your partner or whoever, where me and my husband fasted together, and, the beauty that came out of it was just, so great. But ask questions. Don't just accept that there's only one way to override infertility, because the women deserve to be healthy and enjoy life and be able to mother those children once they're here. And to not just accept what they feel like with, I just see so many consequential things from receiving so much treatment through IVF, the hormones, the chemicals, the injections, and seeing what I believe is consequence of that on their mind, on their body, and their ability to be a mom to that child once they are here, and a hard pregnancy and all those things. So my advice would be to ask more questions. Why is my body not functioning? Why is it not doing this? Why do I feel this way? Be connected to yourself rather than trying to override that system and think someone else can control it. You're more powerful than you realize. You can do this. You can heal. Your body is beautiful and wonderful, and it is capable. And you have nothing to lose to try this form of healing. If you're willing to try and give it a chance and unearth the possibility before going down that road, I feel like this huge empowerment to just share and enlighten others with knowing there's an alternative. Because I didn't know there was an alternative option rather than just struggle along. And what doctors were advising me to do, just keep getting pregnant and hope that it sticks. It's like, okay, this gives me power and ability to do something, apply something, and see the benefits, the results, and the hard evidence that it is working. And to be able to see someone who's walked down this path and be that for someone, I would love to share what I can and just give them hope that there's alternatives to what they're being told and given by doctors. So
And there is a lot of fear. What do you think about fear that one is facing? Is it fear of fasting, of not being able, or is it fear of taking responsibility on yourself? Because fasting is taking responsibility on yourself and not relying on doctors. Doctors usually are against fasting. How can you explain to someone who is fearing what they have to start with, how they have to approach this in order to get better or to get pregnant or to get birth to a healthy child?
yeah. I mean, working through that fear is so intertwined with the fasting process. Like, I had a lot of fears I was working through in it. And I fortunately suffered to such an extreme degree that, fasting felt like a less road of suffering. But I know not everyone has, been as sick as I have. When I tell people about fasting, I'm like, I had the advantage to see how bad I could suffer and become so sick. So if someone's not coming from a place like I was and feels healthy, feels capable, and doesn't want to throw themselves into a very uncomfortable thing, because I think people fear discomfort. Everyone wants to be comfortable. These doctors are trying to make them feel comfortable while polluting and destroying their bodies, but at least they're comfortable. But it's like, no, like, let's look bigger. Let's think bigger. We don't want the consequences of just feeling comfortable now and have the discomfort waiting for us because it's going to come. And so that's inevitably going to come. So I think with some education and realizing, let's do the hard work now to enjoy the rich rewards of healthier for you and your baby, and helping them understand and be able to work through and let go of that fear. And I talk with so many in my life already about, the benefits of fasting, and there's so much fear intertwined. And the best thing I can say is you have nothing to lose. You don't know until you try it. I did not go to Montenegro from one day to the next. I got to experience a 1 day, 36-hour dry fast. And guess what? I saw some positive things out of it. Then I built up to the 3 day and then the 5 day. And I saw the positive results. So you can practice and work up. It's not overnight. And I think there's so much wisdom in knowing no fix is easy and quick. And I think you should question if it is. If a doctor's just going to give you a baby, just give it to you, just override whatever's not working, I would have strong questions about that. And so I just want people to question things and start exploring things and try. Just try. You don't have to do it all at once. It's 1 day at a time, one choice at a time, and you will see for yourself. So I think that's the best advice that I give people is you don't know until you try. And you have all these examples, all these testimonials to draw from and see that it has worked for people. And it's worked for me. And I know if I can do it, anyone can do it. And it's available to anyone. And in my experience, it's much easier than the alternatives that doctors were trying to do for me and make me comfortable with medications that were going to kill me. And so,
I'm so happy you told that there is always a price to pay by the end. And as I see also from yogic world, there is certain amount of suffering for each of us, and you choose how you want to suffer. And dry fasting is a way of suffering, but you have chosen it. And after that, the results would be different. If you choose initially very comfortable zone, even magic pills or someone's treatments where you do not do anything, lay and expect. This is a comfort zone for which you gonna pay afterwards. Unfortunately, people are saying, oh, whatever you predict to yourself, it will happen. Unfortunately, whatever you predict to yourself, it also has to be combined to a loss of life. And choosing to suffer in a constructive way, choosing to suffer, to build, to create, then brings you different outcomes. I'm so happy you told about price to pay for everything. It's really something that I agree with.
yeah, I think that was so well said. Exercising your free will and that choice in this method of healing, like I said, it's beyond this world. You kind of rise above it and realize how powerful you are and how much control you actually have. So to give that away to whatever other methods and the consequences that come with it has a lot more fear around that in my experience. And so I think there's opposition in all things. And I think there's so much opposition when someone considers dry fasting and learning about it. They're going to feel a lot of resistance and fear. And I just say, you don't know until you try, and exercise that free will. And little by little, it's a million decisions. It's not just one. And they will see and they will be empowered as they honestly and commit to their decisions, and it's beautiful. So respect their choices.
Yes, each choice has to be respected, absolutely, yes. But still you have a choice.
Yes, you do. There is a choice. That's the goal, is to let people know there is a choice here.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm so happy to see you happy and to
Yeah.
know about your family. You have so beautiful family, I have to say that. When I see the pictures, I'm like admiring, and I still want to have more pictures of your baby girl.
Yes, I will send them. She's so fun. She's 4 months old now.
Take care. I'm in touch with you in any case, or anything, you know how to find us. And do you have something to say to end this story?
No, I just hope I get to attend the retreat with you guys and receive those amazing treatments again, because it's a privilege. It's like the reward to get to go and do a fast in that environment. So I hope one day when, my kids are a little bit older, I will see you there again. And in the meantime, I just want anyone I talk to, I encourage them to go do it. So hopefully I'll be sending all my family, all my friends, one by one, to come and see you
You are the
guys.
best ambassador.
Thank you. Anytime you need me, I would love to continue to share my experiences and how it helped me. So thank you for giving me this chance.
Thank you, Karin. Say hi to all your family.
I will. Thank
Bye
you.
bye. Bye to everyone.